Well, welcome back. I'm excited to be chatting with you guys so soon again. In all honesty, I actually just needed to take a break from my pattern writing because I am still in the thick of writing those patterns and my head is a little bit mathed out and my eyes are a little bit weary from looking at a computer screen for hours the last several days. It always takes so long. You do the math, I have to draw up the illustrations and write how the pattern comes together. And usually when I have a new set of patterns coming out, this set of patterns will be, it's a couple months away yet, but fairly soon. Usually when I have a new group of patterns coming out, I try to do some that I know are going to be a little bit easier to write, and then some that I know are going to take a little bit longer. And I think I must have just thrown all of that out the window because with the exception of the one I'm working on today, these have all taken me longer than usual to write. And I'm actually saving the one that I know is going to take the longest to write until the very end. So I'm hoping to start on that one tomorrow. And it's going to be a doozy. It is the cutest quilt pattern, but it's going to take some substantial time to figure out the math and then get it all ready for everyone to be able to enjoy and make a quilt using that pattern. So I needed to take a break from all of that, and I wanted to talk to you about the July $5 pattern of the month. Last month I didn't get around to sharing a $5 pattern, and I just had the same pattern run for May and June for $5. But I am getting my ducks back in a row, and I have a new $5 pattern coming out today, July 1st. This video should be going up on that date. I'm a couple days ahead of that filming. But with any luck, you're seeing this on July 1st or a little bit after, and I have that new $5 pattern available in my Etsy shop. And it is going to be this quilt behind me. This is my Lemon Meringue quilt. And I was thinking about Lemon Meringue because I knew I was going to be chatting about this quilt. And when I was growing up, Lemon Meringue pie and key lime pie were my two favorite pies. And I am almost certain that there was a boxed Jell-O mix that was a lemon meringue mix and a key lime mix. Now maybe it wasn't Jell-O. I went online to look today to see if you could still buy those, and I couldn't find that it was available, so it makes me wonder if it was never actually a Jell-O brand. So if any of you remember that mix, probably in the 80s, let me know, because I'm curious if that was actually Jell-O or something completely different, and if you can still get that mix today, just because I'm wondering. But for my birthday every year, I would always have my mom make one of those two flavors, probably whichever one she was able to get in the grocery store that week, to go with my Chef Boyardee ravioli. And that was my birthday meal. And I pretty much only had those two things once a year because Mom didn't make either one of those with any regularity. So I just thought that the canned Chef Boyardee ravioli was such a treat. Maybe some of you have some of those birthday memories as well about some silly foods that you enjoyed when you were growing up. I still really enjoy key lime pie, and I would take pie any day of the week over cake. Are you the same way, or are you a cake person? My husband, I think, could go either way, but I know he really enjoys cake. I can leave cake. If I would never eat cake again, that would be just fine. But I do love pie. We're almost to fresh peach pie season, which is also one of my favorites, so I'm excited about that too. Those were my thoughts as I was thinking about what I wanted to chat about the Lemon Meringue quilt pattern. This is a fat eighth friendly quilt. It uses, as you see it here, 32 fat eighths, because some of these spots that you see use a panel. Now you might be wondering why I'm showing you a panel quilt with fabrics that might be harder to find. And the reason is because this pattern also includes instructions for not using the panel. So you can make it all pieced, no panel, and it would use 40 fat eighths if you were choosing to do that. I do want to let you know that the panel used here is from my Sunny Side Up line of fabric. And I did a quick Google search today before filming this, and the panel is actually still pretty easy to find. So if you wanted to purchase the panel, you certainly could. Now, the print fabrics from Sunny Side Up, those are a lot harder to find, and you're probably not going to be able to find those so easily. But if you wanted to mix solids with the panel, I pulled some solids that I just love. If you wanted to mix some solids with the panel, and we're going to take a look at this panel in a little more detail in a moment, but let me show you how pretty these would be mixed with the panel. And do keep watching to the end of this video because I have a fun little giveaway planned. So it might involve some solids, might involve some panel, so keep watching to the end. But I was thinking how pretty that would be to use the solids in place of the prints for this quilt. Just an idea. And of course, if you weren't using the panel at all, there are so many different fabric lines that would look beautiful for this quilt. In fact, as I was looking at my backdrop over here, you can see a little bit of this sun-washed basket quilt hanging over here. And really, these two fabric lines are, while the colors are different, they still have a similar feel to them. Sun-washed is a little bit brighter. It has the navy in it, but overall, they have kind of a similar feel to them. And I mocked up what the quilt would look like done using sun-washed. And I am going to share another image of this over on my blog today so that you can see this better. I'll have that linked below in the description box, but you can see when I put these two side by side that they do kind of feel the same. And you can see how they look sort of similar, kind of sherbety, warm, summery fabric lines. All right. So the other thing I wanted to tell you about this quilt, these blocks are actually the same block that I used in my very first Barn Star pattern. So I pulled my Barn Star quilt so I could show that to you. This Barn Star quilt pattern came out in 2016. It was my first Barn Star. This is the Pepper and Flax fabric line. Buttercup and Slate, which just came out last year, would be a beautiful substitution for these Pepper and Flax fabrics. But one of the questions I got asked frequently was, oh, do you have that block but in a smaller size? And so that is why I decided to design a quilt using the 12-inch blocks. And while I'm talking about the quilts hanging behind me, I'll mention this one a little bit too. This is another quilt I made using Sunny Side Up. This quilt pattern is called Delighted, and it is a heavy on the applique quilt. I love applique. I always love incorporating these little petal shapes into my quilt designs. So another one using Sunny Side Up. And that would be so pretty in sun-washed fabrics as well. All right, I'm gonna move some of these things out of the way. I wanna show you this panel a little bit better up close so that you can see how it works, get an idea for what you can do with this, and maybe it'll get some creative juices flowing. This panel is sold as running yardage. The actual panel motifs trim down really nicely to 10.5 inches, so they finish at 10 inches within a quilt. And you can do so many fun things with this panel. I've pulled a couple different projects. I like to, whenever I'm talking about panels, kind of give you guys some different ideas for what you can do. I've noticed that while I love working with panels, I think sometimes people can be a little bit intimidated with what to do with them. How do they work in a quilt? What different projects can I make with them? And those sorts of things. So that's why I'm taking a little bit of extra time just to talk about panels specifically. And then we will move on to maybe some more quilt details so that you have some of that information available to you as well. Okay, so this is a cute pillow. Actually, I've made several different pillows. You can see these are pillows, just no pillow form in these, using this panel. So here's what the panel looks like, this motif here, and then you can see what it looks like in pillow form. So all I did was cut out the 10.5 inch panel square, bordered it out, added my envelope backing, and then added quilt binding. I do have a video here on YouTube where I share how to turn any quilt block into a pillow. So if you're not familiar with how easy it is to take a quilt block, in our case, it would be a panel with a border, and turn it into a pillow, that video might be really helpful for you, and I'll make sure to have that linked below. So that is the little star, and then this one is this block up here. the same way, this one, it's a little bit smaller, so just a slightly smaller border, and then a little quilting, and we have a cute pillow. A super fast way to make a pillow. And then the little schoolhouse block is up here in this corner. And you can just see, it's just so easy to go from this to this without a lot of work. So that's one reason I love using panels. It's a quick way to make a really cute project. The other thing that I have here, I'm sure you have seen these project bags with the, oh goodness, what's this stuff called? The see-through, there's a name for it, you know what I'm talking about. These little see-through project bags, and just by adding a panel behind that, it just makes this project bag even cuter. So that's another great way that you can use this panel. And you can do this with any of the panels that I have in my lines. I introduce them periodically. This was the first one that I designed, and this was Sunny Side Up. Since then, I have designed panels for 2 more of my fabric lines. There is an Apricot and Ash panel, as well as a Beautiful Day panel. And these same projects that you see me using here, you see me making here, can be made with any of the panels in my fabric lines. They do vary a little bit in size, so you might find that you would need to add bigger borders or adjust your project bag size or something like that. But as far as the same purposes, we can do these same sorts of projects using any panel that I've designed for my fabric lines. Okay, moving these out of the line, moving these out of the way. I'm gonna put these solids back up here. I also wanted to mention that if you ever wonder, and I've mentioned this before, but if you ever wonder what solids match my fabric lines, I have a Bella Solids tab at the top of my blog, corianderquilts.com, where you will find what I suggest for matches as far as solids. Sometimes I will include thatched or maybe grunges that might go with my fabric lines as well. So look for that tab and you'll find some good information there. But let's set those back down here. I wanted to go over just the dimensions on this quilt real quick with you. So it's 65.5 by 79. The fat eighth bundle, if you're making it with the panel, you would need 32 fat eighths. If you are making it without the panel, you'll need 40 fat eighths. And just a reminder, those fat eighths are the little sister to the fat quarters. They measure 9 inches by 22, so they are half of a fat quarter. And then the rest of the fabric requirements are listed here. You will also find these over in my Etsy shop. I always list the fabric requirements with my listing so that you can see what you need before you purchase the pattern. So you will see that there. And that is also where you will find the $5 pattern. It's available in paper format like what you see here. It is also available in PDF if that works better for you. And I will have those linked in the description box below as well. Let's move on to that giveaway that I mentioned. So first of all, the giveaway is going to happen over on my blog. I find that that is easier to host giveaways there rather than here on YouTube. I've hosted one here before, and sometimes those spam robot commenters get a little bit out of control, and I don't run into that in the same way over on my blog. So you will need to go over to today's blog post. I've got it linked below to enter the giveaway, but what I'm going to give away is a fat eighth bundle of these solids. I was fortunate enough to find an extra fat eighth bundle. I had this fat quarter bundle, and wrapped right in with this was the fat eighths. And so when I opened this bundle up, I had a whole cute little set, and I thought, well, what better thing to do than to give one of these bundles away? So I'm giving away the fat eighth bundle. That gives you a nice start on the fat eighths that you would need for this quilt pattern. And I'm going to also throw in one of the panels. So one of the panel sets. So it would actually include 8 of the motifs, 4 across and then the next 4 down below. So 8 of the panel squares and a set of these solids here to get you going on your lemon meringue quilt pattern. But go over to my blog to enter. If you have any questions about anything I talked about here today, I covered a lot of information. I went kind of quickly through some of it. Please be sure and ask me in the comments down below so that I can answer those. If you have questions about fabric lines or maybe substitutions for Lemon Meringue, since we can no longer get the sunny side up prints very easily, I'm going to have more mock-ups, digital images of how this quilt looks using some different fabrics that are easily available to purchase right now in quilt shops. So if that's something that you are wondering about, be sure to visit my blog, because I will have that over there. But if there's something that I just zipped by too quickly or maybe didn't explain as well as you would have liked, please just ask me in the comments below and I will do my very best to answer those for you. It has been wonderful taking a little break from my pattern writing, but I am going to have to go get back to that because I know I have quite a bit of work yet left to finish on those. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks so much for stopping by. I'll catch you again next time.